And what an interesting time to be focused on bringing it out. So I'm very focused on this. I really do want to create a movement, a push breathing movement. And I just feel really passionate that this can change a lot of people's lives in a number of different ways.
So this breathing technique will help a lot of different stuff, different problems like depression, anxiety,
Yeah,
PTSD.
yeah.
What else?
Yeah, I can tell you. So I learned about it in the context of athletic performance. So it was over 12 years ago. I was a very, very serious, hardcore competitive ballroom dancer. And people don't really think of as ballroom dancers as being really very athletic, but in fact, they're right up there with martial artists and ballet dancers for the level of power and endurance and fitness that they require, because they're doing all of this, they're kind of pushing the limits of what the human body can do, and they have to, never let them show, never let them see you sweat, is kind of the overarching rule. So you have to look very graceful while you're doing it. So, so anyway, I was an older dancer. I'm 56 right now, and I was 44, and I was trying to level up in a huge way within a very short period of time. Within one year, I wanted to go from a kind of like an average beginner level to absolutely competitive in my age range and in my division. And I did achieve that within that year. It was really just a banner year. I'll never forget 2008. But halfway through, I hit such a wall. My endurance just tanked. I was struggling so hard to get my breath. And I had befriended she was a world-class ballroom coach. To this day, she's at the top of her game, coaching some of the most amazing professional ballroom dancers in the world. And she was just my friend. She wasn't my coach. And I told her, I said, I'm really struggling. And she told me about a book that she had heard of. And I don't even think she had read the book, but she had heard about it. And it was out of print. It was from the 1980s. And it was called The Breath Play Approach to Whole Life Fitness. And I went and I found this book. It was very expensive. It's still available, but it's been long out of print. And I read the book and it blew my mind. And to this day, it is still in like a top 10 book in my, I've read thousands of books, but this is a top 10 nonfiction, and the Bible is in there as well. Like, this is an amazing, very simple, but amazing paradigm shifting book. And I ended up being so blown away, I reached out to the author, and his name was Ian Jackson. And he was another world-class coach, but he was an athletic coach, and he worked with like elite athletes, Olympic level athletes. And at the time, he had landed in the ultra cycling community. And those are those crazy guys who race their bikes through the mountains of Europe and Hawaii and Lord knows where else. And this is what he was doing. And he had discovered these certain principles about how to work with the breath, again, years ago, like decades ago. And he had been trying to get this out, and the mainstream was completely not interested because he was a bit esoteric. He called us both exotics, right? We connected. We became very good friends. He became my breathing coach, but we became very good friends because we connected at this kind of esoteric level. And he wasn't able to really translate these techniques for the everyday person. So he was coaching these rarefied athletes, and he was trying to bring these techniques into the Olympic training community. And he just got stiff-armed because the stories that he told were always that once the athletes got a hold of these techniques, they so radically upped their game and increased their competitive edge, like between 20, 25, 30%, that they didn't want to share the secret. I mean, who could blame him, right? Who could blame him, right? So he had kind of given up in a sense, like, he was coaching the people that wanted to be coached, and he was fascinated with what I was trying to do with it because he'd never coached a dancer before. And that's how I came to it. So that was through increasing athletic performance. And literally the day after I had my first coaching session with him, I won my first place elite level competition. the very next day. And it's not to say that it was like a magic pill and I was like, oh, that's like superhuman. It wasn't like that. I struggled the rest of the year. But I did become competitive at that elite level and consistently from that point forward. 2 weeks later, I almost won in my division, which was very, very crowded at the Manhattan Down Sport Championships. And it just was an amazing year. So that's how I started. And we talked, he and I would talk a lot about the nature of the breath and how it was sort of like the gateway to consciousness. You know, we would kind of talk about that type of a thing. And eventually, I mean, really within a couple of years after that, 2.5 years, he passed away. And it was a very, very sad thing. But I will tell you that learning about these techniques changed my life because I have used them almost on a daily basis for over 12 years. And I've taken it to the next level. There's a bit of a pedagogical lineage happening here, right? Where he was the master, hands down, but he passed his baton down to me. And I was aware of it, but I mean, I just was taking it in my own life and trying to squeeze whatever I could out of these techniques. And what I discovered were things that he and I never talked about. So, for example, um, you can use this special breathing technique to literally just burn away anxiety and stress. And so you can use the general techniques, but then I've also created some very specific techniques where you can triage it. You can really, really, really tackle something if you feel panicked or stressed or whatever that is. So it's great for anxiety and stress. It completely supercharges your energy, completely supercharges you. You can just become like a dynamo. And you can, yes, Gloria, you asked about some difficult emotions like depression, sadness, despair, grief. You can really use this technique to help yourself move through these difficult emotions because it evokes your will and it floods you with this life affirming life force, which uplifts your spirit and can give you heart again. So it's great for clarity. It's if you're overwhelmed, if you're frazzled, if you've got brain fog, if you need to supercharge your metabolism. It's great for meditation. Anybody that has a meditation practice, which I have on and off throughout my life for a very long time, if you want to go deep in meditation, do a very intense push breathing session. And when your energy comes down, you're going to go deeper than you ever have.
Wow.
I'll take a breath for a minute and let you digest some of it.
That's amazing. That is a lot. Gloria, what do you think?
Yeah, I had a question for that. Okay, so a person go with you and you start coaching that person. I know every single body is different. How a normal body, let's see, a normal
Yeah.
body would take with your breathing techniques to get like a shift. I know it takes a process, it takes a time, but when a person can get a shift with your techniques?
So I think it's right away. I think it's right away. I really do. And it's for anybody, right? So as I said, this is not just for athletes. This is for this is for the elderly, people who are ill, people who are fragile. Ian Jackson, the coach who discovered some of these principles, he was working with healthcare professionals who were working with paraplegics, quadriplegics. So people who are bedridden, people who are wheelchair bound. This is for children. This is for anybody. And so it's basically a way of working with the breath. I'll put it really, really succinctly so that you can begin to wrap your mind around what this thing is. It's basically like this. The way we all breathe is that we are breath suckers. We suck in air, right? If I am gonna, like, normally our body just takes care of our breathing and we don't have to think about it. But when you think about your breathing, what do? You breathe in air, right? So now take in a big breath and then try to get in more oxygen. Just see what happens. Like there's nowhere you can go. Like
Right.
you've maxed out, right? And that's one of
Right.
the things where I forgot to say there's a lot that could help people who have panic attacks and asthma attacks, right? It's because you get up to that and then you can't get in any more air. You're stuck. So push breathing, instead of sucking in air, instead of being active on the in breath, you flip it around and you become active on the out breath. And your focus becomes pushing all your air out. So you focus on pushing everything out, and then you relax and let your body take in what it needs. You really don't have to think about getting air in so much. It's all about how deep can you go. And one of the things that I teach is something called creating the V, which is basically, the way we breathe is like from our diaphragm up, right from your sternum up, and that's it. You could feel right there, you can't get any more air, but when you create a V, and it goes all the way down to your groin, all the way down from your diaphragm, down the sides of your waist, down your hips, your abs, your butt, your upper thighs to your groin. And you create this tight V, and you hug everything close, and when you're pushing everything out, you try to get everything as small as you can, and then you relax. You just soften and relax your belly, which we don't normally do. We're always sucking in our gut, right? So you got to relax your belly. Yep, there she goes. You let your body take in what it needs, and you don't have to think about it. And it's really weird. It's really weird because it feels like your whole body becomes a lung.